and I love America. Anne Moore, 79,
Where were you born?
Scotland,
And what year did you come here?
1957.
Dominic. I'm 15.
Mr. Barbary. Teacher, Finley High School.
Okay. Where'd you go to school?
High school or college?
College, if you went.
Bluffton
Bluffton?
University, well, college, university now.
Freedom to do, and plus, it's a woman's country, and I'm a woman. So I came here because of freedom and womanhood.
When I think of the American dream, I think of going from rags to riches, basically building something out of nothing.
I think the American dream is having the freedom to be able to choose one's path in life, be able to fulfill one's desires or having the ability to fulfill one's desires and being able to live free, to pursue one's interests, to be able to live a fulfilled life, opportunities like raising families.
Certainly, definitely. I came here, I learned to play golf, I learned to play bridge, I had all the, just wonderful life.
You said you learned to play golf. You want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, because in Scotland only the rich played golf when I was young. And I would never have thought I would have learned to play golf, but when I came here, my husband took me out, and I just loved the game.
Well, obviously I haven't achieved it. I'm a poor high school student. But I do believe I can achieve it. I believe anyone can achieve it if they put in the work.
Yes, I think part of it, the American dream, is what each individual, what they put forth in it to really achieve it. I would say, yes, I feel pretty satisfied and fulfilled as a person. I'm fortunate enough to be in a career that I've chosen, that I enjoy. Some days more than others. I have a healthy family, a loving family. So, yeah, I think for me, at least, what I want to get out of the American dream, I guess I've achieved that, or still achieving it.
It's changed a little, not for the good. It was better before. It was better in 1957 when I came here. You could do anything. You could get good jobs without college degrees. You just had so much opportunity here.
I think it is a bit of both. It's old-fashioned ideas that still work today.
Evolved. One can make an argument that more and more groups can be part of this American dream. Now, do understand that we're not a perfect society, we're not a perfect nation, perfect country, mainly because humanity is involved in it, which is never going to be perfect. But I think over time, more and more groups have been able to partake part of this American dream, or to pursue those desires.
I would say so. I would say so. I mean, I just think it's wonderful opportunities in this world, in this country.
I believe yes. Again, does that mean that there isn't still some, some groups or people that, for a variety of reasons, that have been held back from the American dream or fulfilling that? That's not to say that that there's not been those restrictions for whatever reasons, but I think more and more people have been able to pursue that and participate in the American dream.
In 1957, I came to Manhattan. I had a wonderful life. I was a single girl in Manhattan, went dancing every weekend. Freedom from my parents. I had always lived with my parents before, and all of a sudden I was on my own, shared an apartment with 2 other girls, single girls, and we just had a rip-roaring life.
Do you think that your like married life and your like adult life is better here than it would have been in Scotland?
Oh yes, definitely. I have 5 children, and they've had a wonderful experience living here. Especially I lived in Manhattan, and when I had the children, we moved to Ohio, which I think is one of the most wonderful states to live in for families. It was a small town. We came here when we were young. It was Findlay, Ohio, and it just had a perfect lifestyle for my children. We went to the park every day, just even in the wintertime, and we just had a wonderful, free, interesting life.
And that's different here than it would have been in Scotland.
Oh, definitely different here from. It's a great country, and I love America, and I'm a citizen. I'm now an American citizen.
When did you become a citizen?
You had to live in the country, in the States, for 5 years, then you could apply. And my husband and I, he's Scottish, we were here for 5 years. We signed up right away. Have to tell you a funny story. We sent to Washington, D.C. and got all these little blue books on how to become a citizen and everything, the history of the United States. And when we went for our first test, the gentleman said to me, "Who's the president?" And I said, "Lyndon Johnson." He says, "Where is he from?" I said, "Texas." He said, "Thank you." I said, "Wait a minute, I've been studying for months for this test." He says, "Well, you probably know more than most Americans." And that was it.
So you're a citizen. What year did you become a citizen?
What?
What year did you?
It's 59, 61, 62. 1962. I became an Americano.
My father did. He worked at Marathon initially, and he didn't like it. So he said that he'd build his own company, and he did, and he's successful. So
I like my family, like my on my father's side, coming back. He came from pretty humble backgrounds. Our background, my grandparents were very poor sharecroppers during the Great Depression. Is when they were raising their family. My father was born in 1935, so that was, at the midst of the Great Depression, Southern Alabama. They had to work extremely hard just to make a little bit of a living, living in what we would consider today, dirt floor kind of house shack, growing cotton and peanuts and other crops, and just basically just barely making enough money to feed the family. And then as World War II progressed, my grandfather was able to get a job at an Air Force base in Florida. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but anyhow, so that improved a little bit of their income. Then after the war, when the industrial boom really took place in the United States, my grandfather was able to secure a factory job, but they had to move up here to Ohio, Fremont, Ohio, And so my dad's family, immigrated or migrated, I guess you should say, migrated to Ohio, which at the time for my dad was a huge culture shock, because coming at that, especially that time, in that day and age, coming from being a son of a sharecropper and living the way they lived, which they were surrounded by that, so that was just all they knew. Everybody was kind of in the same boat. Whereas he comes up here to Ohio, his education, quality of education that he had prior to coming up when he came up when he was 12, was behind. Still, my grandparents were not wealthy, so they were still lower working class, I guess you could say. My dad had a very thick Southern accent, which he did not have since I knew him. He had lost that, or tried to forget it, kind of. So he had a lot of obstacles in his way. But he graduated from high school, which my grandparents did not. And he was able to get a job at Ford Motor Company eventually, and so his family, my dad was able to provide for his family a pretty middle class, upper middle class even, I would say, livelihood, especially compared to where he came from.